Today I am visiting the Rivermouth Campground in Tahquamonon Falls State Park, and this is located in Paradise, Michigan, up in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Tahquamonon Falls State Park is nearly 50,000 square acres in size and offers over 35 miles of hiking trail, and about 16 miles of that hiking trail is North Country Trail National Scenic Trail that runs through the state park area. When I was recording this video, the campground office was actually closed. There is no one inside. You can see I'm taking some pictures of some information there to read later, and the information was actually for past dates of events that the campground was hosting, and there was a list of camper names that never came and actually showed up for their campsites. So I'm assuming that means those campsites are available and were forfeited by the campers that never actually checked in. Typically, when you enter any state park campground, you have to have a state park pass in your window, and if you're just visiting for the day to use the day use areas, you have to have a recreational pass on your Michigan license plate. If you're staying in the area and you're looking for maybe a shuttle service to transport you around the area, there is a Hunter shuttle service that you can call for a ride between the upper and lower falls and potentially for other areas within the Tahquamonon Falls State Park range. If you're looking for transport, you call them at 906-291-3442. I have heard hikers in the past using this shuttle service for long hikes on the North Country Trail. There are two different campground setups here at the Rivermouth Campground, and the first one that we're going to walk through is the Mondern Campground, and this is set up on a series of 2 loops with 72 different sites. And we're going to see some of these sites maybe more than once as I walk around here, because the loops, the way I walk them, it's kind of weird, and I did some of the bends on the loop, some of the turn parts more than once to get up and down all the paths. If you're looking to stay at this campground, you can make reservations for the Mondern sites at 1-800-447-2757, or you can do what I did and go online to their website and reserve online. The campsites within the Mondern Campground are spaced out just a little bit, just enough to say you have your own lot. Otherwise, as you can see, people really cram their rigs in here. The campsites are all plenty big enough for a medium to large size trailer, pop-up campers, pretty much whatever you're pulling you can back in here. There are water spigots scattered throughout the campground for filling up water bottles, and each one of the campsites here does offer electrical hookup. You're going to want to check out the DNR website for the state park before you book your campsite, because there may be different options for different electrical hookups depending on what you need for your camper. The price of the campsites does vary. It looks like the average one of the campsites here cost about $46 a night, but like I said, definitely check with the campground and check on the website, because that may vary again depending on different electrical hookups and potentially water hookups right at your campsite. Every site does come with a picnic table and a fire ring, and when I walked through here at night, it was pretty quiet and peaceful. It seemed like everybody had just a nice quiet fire burning inside their campsites. These modern campsites tend to fill up and get booked fairly early in the season, So if you're interested in staying at the Rivermouth Campground on the modern part of the campground, you're definitely going to want to book and plan ahead because it's a pretty popular area. There is a little day use area here off the side of the campground that kind of skirts the edge of the Tahquamonon River. There's a spot where you can rent some kayaks and picnic tables gathered along the river edge here. You can do some fishing from shore in this area, or you can go down and take a swim in the Tahquamonon River if it's a nice warm day. Located in the center of the campground are the restrooms with the showers in the same building here. We're going to walk around and we'll take a quick look in the showers so you can see what kind of setup the state park showers are. They're very typical of every state park campground that I've been in. In fact, it's the exact same tile through every single state park campground that I've ever stayed at. It is really a nice option for campers to have a warm shower to take, especially if you were just kayaking 9 hours down the Tahquamonon River like I was. On the way out of the Mondern campground, you do have your sanitary station for your septic system or for filling up water in your large water tank for your rig. We're going to step out of the Mondern campground, take one more quick look at the day use area here on the far side of the Mondern campground. Quick look out at the Tahquamonon River, and then we're going to take a little footpath that takes you to the semi-modern part of the campground. The short footpath that connects you from the modern campground to the semi-modern campground does have like a little playground area in it for children. It looks like it's pretty dated. I mean, it's a metal slide. Come on, you don't get those anymore. However, it is a nice little pass-through foot trail connecting the two different campgrounds, and this is the Rivermouth Pines campground. This campground is considered semi-modern only because you have water spigots located throughout the campground, as opposed to having to hand pump your water from an old style well hand pump like you would find in your typical state forest campgrounds. There are 36 sites here within the semi-modern part of the campground, and there are 3 backcountry sites that you can also rent, or one very large group site that's way in the back of the campground, and we'll actually take a look at that right at the very end of the video. Unlike the modern part of the campground, the Rivermouth Pines is located on one straight continuous road instead of two loops, and half of the campsites are located on the river side of the road so that you actually have a really nice river view. However, I would say in advance before you get here, you should know that you don't have great river access from any of the sites. There's a couple sites that I was able to drag my kayak down to the river, but you have probably a 4 or 5 foot drop off from most of the sites, if not an impossible drop off that you could never get a canoe or kayak into the water from. The other half of the campsites are located on the left side of the road, where you have a pretty decent view of the river for the most part, but you're definitely not getting river access. You would have to walk through someone else's campsite in order to gain access to the river, and again, like I said, you don't have the ability to slide a canoe or a kayak in here. You could probably fish from shore a little bit, I did that, but you'd have a heck of a time netting a fish if you caught one of any decent size. If you're looking to launch a boat or a canoe or a kayak into the Tahquamonon River, there is a public DNR boat launch just across the road from the entrance to the Rivermouth Campground, and I'll actually show you that here at the tail end of the video. There is no electric hookup available on the Pines side of the campground, and this campground also does not allow generators. That's an absolute perk for any campground that I go to, because come nighttime, once it gets dark and people start going to bed, it is just dead silent in this campground. As you could probably see in the video, there are a couple different outhouses scattered down the length of the road for this campground. You always have the option to hike all the way down and use the regular restrooms at the Mondern campground, but there are outhouses here that are well maintained daily by the campground host. Let's take a quick look and step out onto the fishing dock here. I did not do any fishing from this dock, but I did see several people out here kicking back in chairs, relaxing, and some of them were doing some fishing while I was staying at the campground. This little stairway that leads down to the river is about your only option down here at the Pines for launching a canoe or kayak, and it's actually not a bad option at all. There's a spot to slide your canoe or kayak right down to the water, and you have a nice little stairway to get yourself up and down. At the very end of the campground road is a path that takes you quite a ways back through the woods. It was definitely more of a hike than what I expected. However, at the very end, we're going to come up to the group campsite. I bet this was probably close to a half a mile plus hike to walk back in here, and the entire way it was quite a bit more mosquito-y than what the actual campground was. There were very few mosquitoes. I'd imagine they must treat for mosquitoes in the campground. But once I got down in this area, it was annoying how many mosquitoes came out and were just non-stop attacking me. Being somebody that's outside so frequently, I'm pretty tolerant of mosquitoes and all the pests that nature has to offer, but I will say that this group campsite was pretty bad for the mosquitoes. The group campsite does have the outhouses over here. I did not see any option for water, so you're going to want to get water from way back in the regular campground. There is a billboard with some limited information here. It doesn't look like it's kept up very well. However, the lot back here for the group site is very well maintained, and it looks like it's regularly mowed. It definitely gives you the remote feeling and makes you feel like you're the only one out here. You can't hear any of the campground noise from here. The only thing I didn't care for about it was you're quite a ways away from the river. It would have been nice if they made this large group site with access to the river. When leaving the campground, you can shoot straight across the road to the DNR boat launch that's over here. I never saw more than just a couple vehicles parked over here with trailers for their boats, so it's definitely a great option if you're bringing a boat up this way. The DNR boat launch only has a ramp to launch one boat at a time, but I got a feeling there's not very often when there's a line of people waiting to launch their boats. I did see on multiple occasions DNR launching out here. At one point I saw them launching a boat, and then I saw 2 jet skis with DNR officers coming out onto the water. So make sure if you're coming up this way to do some fishing that you are following all the fishing and boating regulations. Otherwise, you're likely to get caught. As I wrap up at the very end of this video, I just want to say what a really nice campground this is here. I stayed here for a few days, and it did downpour a couple days on us, but not for very long at all. And even with the ground wet, we still managed to have a really good time at this campground. There's plenty of things to do and see in the area, whether you're looking to take a walk around the waterfalls, go to Whitefish Point, or do the numerous hiking activities that are in the area. Plenty to do and a great campground to stay at.